This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the HTC Vivid on AT&T. This is one of two LTE phones that they've just released. This and the Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket are both LTE Android Gingerbread phones. There's a 4.5-inch display, again, just like the Galaxy Skyrocket, and the usual capacitive buttons at the bottom here, but this is a real design departure on the back for HTC. You can see this bizarro kind of glossy pyramid thing going on here that flattens out. It's very slippery. It's kind of awkward actually to hold and to pick up, and gee, we don't know why HTC did this. Usually we love their designs. Their Sensation XL, HTC Rhyme designs with the soft touch kind of finish, and then the contrasting metal back were very nice, and here we have, well, something quite different. Rocker button for volume right here, power button up top, headphone jack up top, nothing on this side except for the micro USB port, and nothing at the bottom. We've got a microphone hole there. And directly on the back we can see this is a metal plate, which is nice, except for it's a little bit of a confused design aesthetic because you've got this very flat metal plate here. In terms of gloss, it's very flat, not shiny, and then you've got the glossy back here, a little bit confused. Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Maybe you'll love it. And then we've got a slide up area. You covered this grill and you slide it up. By the way, 8 megapixel camera, dual LED flash here. And to take this off, you push up, take the metal back off. Here's the battery, here's the SIM card slot, here's the micro SD card slot right here. So you've got to pull the battery to access either of these. It's normal to pull the battery to access the SIM card slot, but the micro SD card slot, that's a little bit of a pain in the neck. And this slides back on reasonably easily. That rear 8 megapixel camera, by the way, is one of HTC's good new cameras. It has illuminated backlit sensor, it's 8 megapixel, it's got a f2.2 fast lens, and it's 28 millimeter, so you get a pretty wide viewing angle on that. Up front we have a 1.3 megapixel video chat camera versus the 2 megapixel that's on the Galaxy Skyrocket. And again, we're running Android Gingerbread here with HTC Sense 3.0 software. No, it's not 3.5. No, we don't know why that is. Kind of a bummer there. It runs on a 1.2 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon dual-core CPU, and so far we've seen good things with the Qualcomm dual-core CPUs working well with LTE, both on Verizon and on AT&T, so we've got pretty good reception here. We've got 2 bars, which doesn't sound impressive, but for a fledgling new network in the Dallas-Fort Worth area here in the suburbs, that's pretty good, and it's about a 90 dB signal. Very solid, never drops off LTE. And again, just like the Skyrocket, you can see there is no option to actually turn off LTE, and thus we cannot test this on HSPA Plus right here. We'd have to go way, way far out into the countryside just to actually escape LTE in Dallas. I know, poor us. Speaking of LTE, it's in about 9 markets right now. It will be in 15 markets by the end of 2011. That's not many for now. Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, Atlanta, Georgia, Athens, Georgia, Boston just opened up, Washington, D.C. New York City should be coming by the end of the year. Speeds on the phone for a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core CPU, not real phenomenal according to the benchmarks. Experientially, it feels just fine to use it. It's not ultra laggy or anything like that. In fact, it's not laggy at all. But on Quadrant it did about 2159, which is okay for a dual-core CPU, about middling and average. Galaxy S2 Skyrocket blows that away, so does the Galaxy S2 not Skyrocket, just the regular HSPA Plus version of the phone. Those score in the low to mid 3000s. Wow. But again, compared to most dual-core phones that are available right now, that's about average. The LinPack score it's kind of variable on this. It was a little strange. It jumped around some from 59 up to about 64 or so. And the SunSpider JavaScript test was okay. It was 4459. That's again about middling for dual-core phones, not as impressive as the Samsung phones or even the HTC Resound on Verizon and the new Droid Razr on Verizon. Those are both quite fast when it comes to the SunSpider JavaScript test, pulling in 2098 for the Razr and 2998 for the Resound. You take a look at the phone, you see your standard HTC Sense here, again HTC Sense 3. We've got the clock with the weather, and this is what happens if you spin. You can get access to all of your different desktops here. You do also get the zippy spin where you can get going in a carousel. cute to look at, not sure that's terribly useful. And you get their FriendStream social networking widget, which I actually like quite a lot, and some AT&T widgets where they're pushing some featured apps and stuff like that. And speaking of AT&T apps, you can see this screen is just littered with AT&T stuff. You've got your My AT&T for account management. You've got their live TV that's powered by Mobi TV for streaming TV shows. Yellow Pages mobile, visual voicemails on board, and there is more. We've got Amazon Kindle preloaded, AT&T's barcode scanner, which is actually kind of handy, AT&T's family map along with AT&T Navigator. Flash players, of course, on board, and this does have an FM radio. HTC's Footprints is here, an HTC Hub. Polaris Office, the basic version. I'll take a look at that right now. And as you can see, you can create a new document. This is a very basic version for Word and Excel. Not much of a user interface going on here, but it gets the job done for viewing documents and really creating them too. That's about all you see there. We've got the Wi-Fi hotspot application. That means you can use this as a mobile hotspot, and if you're in an LTE area, that really rocks because, my God, LTE speeds are fast. Take a look at our speed test results here. And you can see we've got like 25 megabit per second, 23, 24.6, 26, and even as high as 34 outdoors, pretty close to an antenna. And upload speeds are ranging from 10.6 all the way up to 19 megabits per second. That's amazing, and you can see the ping times are also very, very fast. So, granted, hardly anybody's on the network now. This is a new network. There are not many LTE devices available, but it bodes well for when the network is loaded down. It will certainly see speeds, I say, that are as good as Verizon's on LTE. And now for size comparison here, we have the Vivid on the right, we have the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket by Samsung in the middle, and the iPhone 4S, which of course is going to be the smallest guy because it has a 3.5-inch screen, while both of these guys have 4.5-inch screens. The difference in screen, this has Super AMOLED display, this has a standard Super LCD display, so you don't get those super bright popping colors, but you know what, this is actually a very nice juicy display, lots of strong colors here, and more color accuracy than the Super AMOLED on this one. Resolution's also better. Here you have QHD 960 by 540 pixels by the same old boring 800 by 480 that's on all the Galaxy S2s, which sounded great at the beginning of the year, but now is starting to sound a little old and tired, especially now that we've got some 720p display phones coming out on Verizon. In terms of thickness, well, they're both actually pretty slim phones. You can see from the side. The HTC hides a little bit more with that beveled design, but I'll put them flat on a board and they're pretty darn close in terms of thickness. As a phone, this has acceptable but not great voice quality. Now, we have good AT&T service here in the Dallas area, so almost no phone ever sounds bad, but this guy sounds a little bit more digitized on outgoing voice. Our callers so far have preferred the iPhone 4S and the Galaxy S2 and Galaxy S2 Skyrocket to this phone, but it's not like garble junk or anything like that, let's put it that way, folks, but it's not the ultimate in clarity. So if you live in an AT&T signal challenged area where voice is sometimes an issue, do keep that in mind. This does have HTC's kind of cool lock screen here. You can see where you drag the ring up to unlock the phone, but you can have quick access and you can set which applications you have here to any of these. So say we want to use the camera, just drag it right down to the ring. We don't actually have to unlock and then go hunting for the camera. And speaking for the camera, this does have a really good camera, and we're going to put our beloved basil plant here as a photo subject. It can shoot 1080p video, 30 fps, very smooth, and it has pretty fast focusing. You can either let it intelligently focus. It has face detection, by the way, among other things, or you can move the focus point around if you want. Just hit the button. Takes a picture quickly, focuses pretty quickly, even in fairly low light. We're not in super bright conditions here. You can control the flashes, switch between your cameras, switch between video mode and camera mode, and you've got self-timer scenes. Lots of scenes right there. White balance, ISO, resolution, widescreen options, geotagging, auto-enhancing, autofocus, face detection, all sorts of stuff there. And you've also just got that for the quick visual for effects here. You can choose panorama, HDR, no effect, distortions, vignetting, depth of field stuff. All pretty good stuff. terms of standard software, everything is here. Google Maps and navigation, Google Search, YouTube Player, Internet with Adobe Flash. Now we're up to 11. The Android market, we'll take a look at the web browsers so we can see speed over the LTE network, which is really good. And we'll visit our own site. And also you can see this is the usual HTC keyboard, which I like pretty well. You can press and hold to get to numbers without having to switch. And here we go. Fast. Scrolling is smooth thanks to dual-core CPU. Flash ads are on board and not bothering it at all. Works just fine. Let's check out a video review of the Skyrocket so we can test Adobe Flash playback. So here we are, and you can hear the speaker. It's pretty decent.
This is much like the Galaxy S2 on AT&T, but there's a couple of important differences. You've got a 4.5-inch
Pop it out to full screen of 480p.
AMOLED display, and you have LTE 4G. That's true 4G.
Again, this is over LTE as well, so performance is fine. And while we're looking at performance, we'll check out the bundled version of Need for Speed Shift. This is a demo version that's playable. So it plays perfectly well and perfectly smoothly, and you can hear what the speaker volume's like in the game. We have it almost to max, but not quite. For video chat, we've got Quick Light pre-installed, as well as Google Talk, which supports video chat on this phone, and of course you can download Skype as well. Twitter's pre-installed also, as is Facebook for social networking. We have Car Panel here. Some of you really like that. Access to HTC footprints, navigation, voice searching, making a call, and so on, somewhat more safely while you're driving a car. The phone can play up to 1080p video, and it has an MHL adapter. That's basically an adapter that takes the USB port on the side here and converts it into an HDMI full-size port, and that's sold separately. Works just fine though for mirroring. And now we're taking a look at Movies, which is really M-Spot Video, who AT&T has been partnering with lately, and you can rent content from them at a not hugely competitive price, like $5 for a popular movie. But they do have some pretty high quality trailers, so we're going to watch that. By the way, M-Spot requires you have to have Wi-Fi on, whereas AT&T Mobile TV wants you to have it off.
It's your turn.
So, good quality, plays it back perfectly well.
Hello. Tell me about your women. I have been keeping.
So that's the HTC Vivid on AT&T. It's available now for $199 with contract. That makes it $50 less than the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. Has a 4.5-inch QHD display, 1.2 GHz dual-core processor, the usual Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and a GPS. That's Bluetooth 3.0, by the way, and Wi-Fi 802.11n. Has 8-megapixel rear camera, very good camera. Front 1.3-megapixel video chat camera, and it runs Android Gingerbread with HD Sense 3.0. It's not a bad phone. I just feel like it's showed up a little bit like the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. In fact, we're going to be doing a smackdown between these two phones, so for those of you who can't decide which of the two LTE phones you might want to buy, hopefully we'll make that decision a little bit easier for you. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website for a full review of the HTC Vivid.